En el año 1955, Barney Kessel tocó algo que no solo cambió la historia del jazz, cambió la historia de la guitarra eléctrica. Escuchaste recién a Bruce Forman tocando lo que Barney Kessel, su mentor, tocó en la intro de Cry Me a River.
You know, we would do tours, and then actually we did a couple of European tours, and we just stayed friends, and he was not only a mentor, he was like my hero.
Bruce Forman está usando la mismísima guitarra con la que Barney Kessel hizo toda su carrera. Y Barney Kessel no solo fue una figura del jazz, fue uno de los músicos sesionistas más importantes de la historia. Hasta grabó en Pet Sounds de los Beach Boys.
So this played with Billie Holiday, this played with Lester Young, this played with Charlie Parker. This is the guitar that played that intro on Cry Me a River.
I have goosebumps.
Puede parecer exagerado, lo sé, decir que esos 15 segundos cambiaron la historia de la música, pero fue Barney Kessel, con esa exacta guitarra, quien mostró al mundo lo que este instrumento puede hacer.
If you play trio with guitar, bass, and drums, this was the guitar that started that.
Yeah.
Y no solo esa intro cambió la historia de la guitarra eléctrica, quizás también fue la semilla de Stairways to Heaven, de Led Zeppelin.
How did he know that he was going to play something as iconic in its day as Stairway to Heaven is for us now?
Yeah, it's kind of the same line cliche.
Right, and they're not that dissimilar, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy Page didn't already know the Cry Me a River one.
En este video hablaremos de por qué esa intro resultó tan icónica.
Such a level of trust, of playing something beautiful and playing it 2 times. If beautiful things that only happen 1 time are tragic.
Metiéndonos a fondo en la armonía.
And how you hear the difference between that, which is just the minor second, but when you add the B to it, the 5th of the chord, how it softens it.
Pero también hablaremos de equipamiento y detalles técnicos.
That's what I want to play now. I like these pickups.
You're using flat ones 14s, but what brand?
Junto a consejos hechos por un gigante como Bruce Forman de lo que significa ser un guitarrista profesional, no importa qué estilo toquemos.
If you're going to play an intro, you got to nail it. It's got to be good. These are things that most guitar players don't work on, and they're not very good at. And then that ends up being a professional liability.
Este video es una celebración de la guitarra eléctrica de Barney Kessel y de la intro de Cry Me a River, claro. Pero también es un viaje a una época de oro del jazz en la que encontraremos, creo yo, una sabiduría que es relevante a toda persona que realmente ame la música.
If you play in a guitar trio, you can thank Barney Kessel. His name deserves to be spoken over and over and over and over again because we are standing on his shoulders.
Mi nombre es Pedro Velora y estoy muy emocionado. Esta es la charla que tuvimos con Bruce Forman.
Hey, Bruce.
Hey, Pedro, what's happening? That's a nice looking L5 you got there.
Yeah, I love this.
I haven't gone back and listened to it in so long. You know, I've just been playing it from memory for so long. Who knows? I've probably changed a bunch of things, you know.
Yeah, but you made it your own at the same time.
Right, right.
And that's what we should do with tradition. What was your relationship with Barney Kessel?
He was, you know, of course I admired him. He was an idol of mine. I went and heard him. The first time I heard him was at El Matador in San Francisco. And that was at a time where we're talking like the early 70s where guys were doing workshops in the afternoon, you know, because guitar players, we love that stuff. And then you could buy a ticket that would get you into the workshop and the gig, you know. And so he asked if anybody wanted to play. And I, like, of course, raised my hand and ran up to the stage and played with him. And he liked my playing. You know, I was probably about, I don't know, 17, 18 at that time, maybe just out of high school, maybe. I don't know. And he liked my playing. He took my name, and then he asked me to come back for the gig, you know, which I was planning to anyways. And he says, "Well, bring your guitar, sit in and play a tune or two." Because Barney is liked to play with another guitar. He liked that sort of competitive repartee, communication, he really was into that. So that particular gig was a trio gig. He brought me up at the end of the first set, and then he just let me play the whole second set with him. And then when he would ever tour on the West Coast, he would kind of call me and get me a gig. He would tell everybody to hire me, and we did lots of gigs together. And he would come to my gigs when he was not working, if I was playing close to him, either down in LA or San Diego, where he lived at the time. And then, we would do tours, and then actually we did a couple of European tours where he hired me to play with him. And we just stayed friends, and he was not only a mentor, he was like my hero. I mean, he would, half of my press package is quotes from Barney about me, I mean, Barney was very opinionated, very strong-minded, had really specific ways he thought about music, and he was also incredibly competitive. So I think one of the things he liked about me was, having somebody there to really fucking, whoop on hard, But I'm competitive too, so I think he liked it that I fought back, and every now and then I got him. You know what I mean? I had him on the ropes, and and I think he really liked that about it. It wasn't about him wanting to beat people up. He wanted to be pushed to really be his best. At least that's the way I took it, and because I just fought back, and he loved it. And the more I did, the better I did, the better he liked it. So. We had a great relationship, and then unfortunately he had his stroke. Yeah. He was about the same age I am now, and his late 60s. And we stayed in touch, and I'd visit him, and I'd go play this guitar. His wife would bring it out, and I'd play it. I could, he was kind of in bad shape at the time. It was hard to tell if he liked that or not. Part of me was thinking, I don't know, I think he likes this. I mean, it's just hard. It was hard to read his emotions with a person who's kind of paralyzed with a stroke, And so, and then he started getting better. And the last time I saw him sort of in a even remotely conversant state was he came to my gig in San Francisco. And he was still on a cane or a walker, and his wife was with him. And he sat there kind of, about front row kind of stuff. And we played a set. And I went over to hang out with him. And he stood up. No. He was sitting there, and he said, you could tell he was trying to, I said hello and shook his hand and hugged him. And you could tell he was trying to say something. It was really, it was really hard for him. And he finally managed to say, "More chords." It wasn't, "How are you? Good to see you." It was like he'd heard me play, and I guess I played a bunch of lines, and I mostly talked, and he kind of, was there with his wife, Phyllis. And then I went back on the stage and began the second set. And the first set, I don't think I played anything but chord melody. I don't think I played one line the whole time. And he gave me a standing ovation. And for him to get up out of his chair was a lot of effort, And that's one of the most beautiful moments of my life, of love from him. And then not long after that, he had a second stroke that was even more. It kind of took away all the rehabilitation he'd been able to do, and then after that he developed a brain tumor, and that's what killed him. And so, I would go down, and I'd play that guitar, but I don't know how much he could really hear it or was aware of it, and I don't know if he even liked it. It always felt weird. So, throughout the years after he passed, I would still visit Phyllis, his widow. She was kind of like my stepmom to me. I love her so much. And she would always bring the guitar out, and I would play it, and she did that with other guys too who would visit her, but so, and I'd play it, and of course, I mean, it's just so much. I would talk to her about it, how like this guitar is so different. I mean, even me, who's fairly, like, I say, monogamous with guitars, I've had, five, six guitars in the space of a 50-year career, like that I played all of them for like almost 10 years or whatever, a couple maybe only made it 2 years and I went to something else. But, Barney played this guitar the whole time.
Yeah.
It was his jazz guitar. I mean, and he's done lots of modifications to it, like throughout the years. This is the third or fourth fingerboard it's had. Obviously, this isn't the original pickup. These knobs are new. This bridge he had built for it. You know what I mean? I was with him when the headstock got busted.
In Australia, right?
Yeah. It was on Qantas Airlines, and and so I was talking to Phyllis, and it's just a valuable instrument, and she didn't really need the money. I said, but when you get rid of this, this is very valuable, right? So either get it to somebody who knows it's valuable or sell it and get a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
Well, but every time I'd visit her, I'd take a video of me playing it or a picture of me playing it and put it on Facebook, right? So when she finally decided to sell it, everybody thought I was selling it, that I knew. They all thought I already had it, and to me it was worth like $1 million. It was going to, so there was no chance of me getting this guitar, and I didn't even watch the auction. It was one of those auction houses, those big ones.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it didn't sell for very much money.
Yeah, I checked. It was not expensive at all.
Right.
In the sense of what it meant. It's one of the main jazz guitars of history.
Right. This if you played trio with guitar, bass, and drums, this was the guitar that started there.
Yeah, it is.
So this played with Billie Holiday. This played with Lester Young. This played with Charlie Parker. This is the guitar that played that intro on Cry Me a River. Fast forward to during COVID, the pandemic, I knew who bought it. And he was a really nice guy. And his real reason for buying it, he was more of a Charlie Christian fan than a Barney fan, but guy from Oklahoma. And he didn't want the guitar to leave the country. He wanted it to stay in America. And so he bought it. He was obviously had resources. I mean, it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't like $1 million expensive. And so he got it, and I became friends with him. He lived in Colorado at the time. And, whenever I'd go to Colorado, he'd come out to my gig, or I'd go up to, whatever and stuff. So I had his contact and everything. And then one day during the pandemic, I was driving to this gig, a place in Santa Cruz. This was back when we did live streams. There couldn't be people in the audience. And as I'm driving to this club, all I'm thinking about is Barney Kessel. It was just like it was like he was in the car with me. It was the strangest paranormal visitation you could ever have.
Yeah, like you smell his fragrance.
Right. I could smell his aftershave. He had this horrible aftershave he always did. You could smell him coming. And I just couldn't get him out of my mind. And then when I got to the club, I realized that I had played there with him like 45 years ago. And I figured that's why it is. But I was still like, I could feel him. So I just texted the guy emailed the guy who had the guitar. And I said, I'm thinking about Barney, da-da-da-da-da-da. He's really in my mind. I said, if you ever decide to let that guitar go, please give me first crack at it. And then I played the gig, and when I got back to my phone, he'd email me back saying, you're the guy that should have got it in the first place. If you want it, pay me what I paid for it. Come get it. I'm not going to ship it. That's it. And for my profit, I just want a lesson. Give me a lesson. So it was during the pandemic. I didn't have any gigs, so I got in my car and I drove to Colorado. It took a couple days, And so that's kind of how it all happened. It's a long answer to a short question, but
I have goosebumps. It's
right.
there are not a lot. Like I think of course Barney Kessel, maybe Ed Bickert, Larry Carlton. There are not a lot that were so
Right.
monogamous.
Yeah, most guys had a lot of guitars. They just did.
Yeah. And regarding the recording session, I'm pretty sure that Shirley London just said like, "Hey, why don't you play an intro?" Like he made this in the spot, right?
I think that whole record was that way.
Yeah.
From what I understand, what I know about that session is that Julie London, a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
She was acting too. She was doing some acting, and she was originally she was just like an elevator operator when they used to have
Really?
ran elevators in department stores. That was
Yeah.
her first job in Los Angeles. She grew up in Santa Rosa, California, which is Northern California, and she moved down there. And she was very young, and she got kind of discovered as just this beautiful woman, just so beautiful. And she married a guy named Jack Webb, who had a famous TV show called Dragnet.
Yeah.
And he was her husband for a long time, but it was not a good marriage. I guess it was difficult and it didn't work out. And then she started hanging out in Toluca Lake, which is this area of Los Angeles. It's a really nice little neighborhood, and going where the guys were playing music. And this guy named Bobby Troop was there, a piano player, the guy who wrote Route 66. And she would go and just sit in, sing songs. And she had this beautiful low voice for a woman. And it was very, she's gorgeous, she's nice, and she's got this voice. And then that guy from Liberty Records, I forget his name, he heard it and he wanted to make a record, give her a first record. And, to Bobby's credit, he said, she's got this beautiful low voice. He says, I think your first record, because they were, I think, originally thinking a big band, because all the singers were singing with big bands then. He says, I think her voice would be better without a big band, within a small group. And he said, even without a piano, just guitar, something that's so small that her voice can fill up all the space. And he said, well, and you should get Barney Kessel. That was the guy to get.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of great guys in LA, of course, and so Barney ended up doing it. They got a bass player. I don't know how that happened, whether, no drummer, just bass and guitar. And, but I played with Barney for years. I played with Ray Brown for years. I consider it sort of the Oscar Peterson school, which is like, you don't just play a song, Pedro. You put an intro on it.
Yeah.
You have an idea of how you're going to play it. You develop it over time. Most of the time, you're going to go back to the idea at the beginning, or, there's a whole, like, not real. I don't want to say arrangement per se, but it's like making an arrangement on the spot. Maybe they had a hang where they did a rehearsal and talked over what tunes to do. Maybe not. I don't know. I never got to ask Barney that. I should have. It's my fault. I could have. But I know if I were to do a record like that, and I do gigs like that all the time, the singer just looks at me and just goes, okay, this is my song. This is my key. And I want to like about here, and I just come up with an intro that sets them up and sets the pace of how we're going to play the song. And then it sort of develops from there. And I remember what I did at the beginning and how we played at the beginning, so I can come back to that. Because they're expecting that. Yeah. So the way it's like storytelling. Yeah. It's more like storytelling than arranging, right? And so you just kind of you're wrapping up the story now, and it's got to have context. And I really think she just said, okay, she might have said Crimea River F minor or E flat minor or something, or E minor. Yeah. And I know he would have pushed it. to E minor.
Okay.
We said, guitar here, babe, let's use E, because he actually did that to me once. I'm sorry if I'm kind of
No, come on, it's great.
Going on tangents. We on the gigs we played together, a big thing we would do is we'd each play a solo. That was the thing you do. He would play one, then I would play one, or I would play one, then he would play one. It was just sort of to break up. Again, thinking of arranging and context and storytelling, he didn't want the drums and bass to be going all the time.
Yeah.
You're sitting out there in the audience and you get in a show. He wants to take you through lots of things. And this is the way I have learned to consider all my performances, right? One night I played Round Midnight. And he looked at me and he said, after I was done it, he said, I noticed you played that in the original key, E flat minor. Right? And I said, yeah. He said, on the piano, there's all the black notes, it's really, lays really great that way. I said, yeah. And he says, you think if Thelonious Monk was a guitar player, he would have written that E flat minor? I said, no. And he said, well, what key do you think he would have written it in? This is in front of an audience,
Okay.
And I said, well, E minor or D minor, I guess, and he goes, yeah. He says, why don't you play 8 bars of it in that key and see how different it sounds to all of us. And the first thing I did was, the first intervals.
Yeah.
Right, there's
That's beautiful.
That was nothing like what I did in E flat minor. So back to Julie London, I'm thinking like she might have said E minor anyways, but she might have said F minor or E flat minor. And so he talked her into trying it in E minor, and then he plays this intro.
Yeah.
And I think if there are multiple takes of that song, I'll bet there are different intros. Is what my guess would be.
Yeah.
No Barney.
Yeah.
Now, who knows, how did he know that he was going to play something as iconic in its day as Stairway to Heaven is for us now?
It is.
Stairway to Heaven is the equal intro.
Yeah, it's kind of the same line cliche.
Right. And they're not that dissimilar, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy Page didn't already know the Crimea River one before he did that. I do know Jeff Beck. I've seen video playing it, So my assumption is Jimmy Page knew it probably too. Yeah. It's such an iconic guitar thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's the whole thing of introducing the ninth into the minor chord. Here's your minor triad, right? But then we always you do for a 2/5, right? Which we do more often like this.
Yeah. It's always leading to the third of the fifth.
Right. But even that, even if you stay over the minor,
Yeah.
And that's without even doing anything to the upper notes, the higher notes.
Yeah.
But just right there, you've got this gold, and it sounds. What a sound,
Yeah.
So I think that's how it all happened, and then it just needed 4 bars of a turnaround, and so what are we gonna do? E minor, maybe C sharp, maybe F sharp B. That's the classic turnaround, but that's just as good, It's just as good. There's, he just had to make. But the thing is, when you go to play an intro, you have a million options. You have to make a choice.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and you can't second guess yourself. And you know what I mean. You got to be you got to believe in your heart. If you're going to be a good, solid pro on that level, you got to believe that what you're doing is the right thing, and play it that way.
Yeah.
He could have played a million different things in that moment. He didn't.
Yeah.
and now we're all reliving it, you know. But it's just, yeah, you know. And then you decided A minor because it's printed, you know.
Yeah.
Right? That's all it is. And what he did is, because usually when we do this, we avoid that note, right? We usually avoid that.
Yeah.
But he used it as a passing note, you know, because he knew he wasn't going to D7. He was staying at the A minor, so he wanted to get to the major 7, right? Same with the E minor. He wanted to stay there, you know. So, and now he's just got to do some sort of. So I think he thought C7, you know. And he wanted to put some like tension in it.
Yeah.
So C7, he wanted the F sharp still there against that G.
Yeah.
You know? And then one more tension with the B. Hear that note in there?
Yeah.
You know? And then she starts singing.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's, you know, and my guess is he had played something like it a million times before that. It just never been recorded.
But it's such a perfect setup for the emotional tone of the song. It's 15 seconds. No, and it really says everything that there is to be said. It has something that happens on the song because when he starts the song, he actually it's a.
Right, then he does the moving fifth thing.
Yeah. So he kind of takes something that happens on the song, but not in the exact same way. But it's I have goosebumps thinking of what he did of like usually passing notes lead to a resting place.
Right.
And he kind of rests in a very unsettling place.
Right.
And that's such a beautiful, or finding beauty in things that are not really beautiful. No, it's
right. Exactly.
And
as musicians, one of the things that makes us all different from each other, actually as people, is our tolerance for dissonance.
Yeah.
You know, some people are very comfortable with dissonance.
Yeah.
Like Thelonious Monk, was very comfortable with it. But, and Keith Jarrett, or, some of the stuff that Bill Evans does is dissonant, and I mean, but it's beautiful. But there are some people who hear that and it just sounds like a wrong note to them.
Yeah.
But we have to be truthful to ourselves. If you're going to play an intro, you got to nail it. It's got to be good. It's the whole important part of the song. You need to end the song. To me, these are things that most guitar players don't work on, and they're not very good at. And then that ends up being a professional liability to them.
Yeah.
Because if you're on the gig, if you're on a jazz gig, especially with a singer, somebody's going to look at you and go, play an intro. Yeah. And then the natural feeling is, well, no one else is playing. I have to make something up. You put all this pressure on yourself, right?
Yeah.
And of course, since no one else is playing, there's also this pressure to be really good. Be brilliant.
There is.
Right? And the truth is, no one wants a brilliant introduction.
Yeah.
Even this is not brilliant. It's just nice. It's setting up the song. It's not the song.
Yeah.
The world needs to know, how are we going to play the song and when do we come in? That's all they need from the introduction.
Yeah.
How are we going to play and when do we come in? Yeah. So, of course, we need to, in our mind quickly, when somebody's just doing this, as we're about to play the intro, in our mind, hear the feeling of the song.
Yeah.
So that whatever we play, it communicates that feeling. And then we also need to decide whether it's the end of 4 bars or 8 bars.
Yeah.
We need to play a big 5 chord.
Yeah.
Now, in this case, we're going to E minor, so I'm going to play some variation of a B7.
Yeah.
It could be an F7.
Yeah.
You know, it could be an A minor, you know, some of the substitutes for it. Could be a B7 flat 5 plus 5 flat 9, whatever. Probably wouldn't play a B flat B13 because I'm going E minor.
Yeah.
But I would play a B13 if I was going to E major.
Yeah, like
Right. Because you got that big G sharp in there. And you don't want it just to sit there and we're all like playing G's all of a sudden. It just would sound a little clammy.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, so like, you know, another introduction to this song could have been Right.
Yeah.
You know, that could have been what he played.
Yeah.
I mean, what does it have in similar with Barney's? Well, it had the vibe. It had, you know, we knew how we were going to play the song. We knew when to come in, and you know, it had the direction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It had a melody too.
Yeah.
So you could follow it. It wasn't just, which actually had a melody. I can't not do it, but you know, I mean, you know, it had a melody because that's what everybody's listening to.
Yeah.
Boom. You know, and so, but I just love that this is so iconic, and I think a lot of it is that tension from that minor second.
Yeah.
And how you hear the difference between that, which is just the minor second, but when you add the B to it, the 5th of the chord, how it softens it. So we're getting the dissonance, but that third on top, the G to the B, kind of sweetens it. So we accept it as kind of, it's just vibey, kind of almost like a film noir movie, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which Barney, of course, wrote music for and played on.
And I think there is something very beautiful in that he's toying with something that you have heard before, but in a slightly different way. Like, like we all know the.
Right.
But that of.
Right.
And having the dissonance be and the movement on the low note.
Right.
That is a really original thing. And also, I think there is such a level of trust of playing something beautiful and playing it 2 times. Like, if beautiful things that only happen 1 time are tragic.
Right.
But it happens like in the exact same way twice. And he definitely, I really enjoyed the change in timbre. I'm saying the word correctly, like in because he could have played.
Well, you know, right, or he could have played it here.
Yeah.
I don't believe he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
He could have played it there. I don't believe he did.
No, I feel.
And he could have done this one.
Yeah.
You know, he could have done it there, but it didn't sound like it to me. It's like, that's what it sounds like, you know?
Yeah, the change in sound is very interesting because it's certainly like kind of trebly, like, I don't want to say like twangy, but it's like, it's very film-like, this one. But this one is like really dark. Like, there is an evolution. He plays the same, but in an evolved way.
Right.
And resting in a place of tension.
Right, and the passing chord of the flat 9. That's something we usually don't do. We usually go, right?
Yeah.
You know, we rarely go.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
We never do that.
And he could have gone to B7 there too. Yeah.
And when he goes to the F sharp or C7, whatever we want to call it, there is like a really beautiful contrast of playing something quite small, and then it's like the biggest chord you can play.
Right, six notes, all 6 notes.
Yeah. And it really gets you like unprepared, you know, like.
Then he goes back to a small one after.
Yeah, but if he would have done like a. That wouldn't have an effect when he go to the. That would have been like meaningless. That contrast, that's really such a way of thinking. Like, it's more than arranging. It's like storytelling.
Exactly, that's my point. Yeah, I mean. I would love to think of it as arranging, and I like that people think that I play that way, but I think of it more of as contextual or storytelling. You know, if I play an idea, you know you're going to hear something that relates to it, if not the same idea again, you know, in some way. You know, I'm sitting there playing a bunch of lines over changes maybe, but, you know, you can follow it because, oh, wow, you know, I mean, I don't just play, oh, this is over this chord, or this is over this chord. No, what did I just play over this chord? Now that melody's got to continue on through the next chord.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that whole idea of, to, you know, that's like, wow. You know?
And that's the only thing that doesn't happen twice, because that leads that creates the void. That it's like you yearn the melody.
This is when to come in. That's you know, this is a moment of, you know, I like, you know, think of a waiter. Dinner is served. You know, that's that moment right there. You know, that's a whole different moment than what's happening before that.
Yeah.
What's happening before that is to set the mood and to get the motion of the song set up, you know, and how it's all going to go. That last chord is to say, please, you know, and, you know, like open the door, pull out the chair for someone to sit down. Something you have to think that way with that. Which
is something that I really love about Barney Kessel's playing style, which you certainly do too. It's like, it's a very sophisticated way of playing, but stated in a very raw way. You know, there is like an elegance in rawness, if I'm saying it.
I think. Yes, I would agree that about Barney. He was very physical.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I mean, if you by rawness you mean I make a lot of mistakes, you're right.
But I was thinking, like, if this same thing was played by Jim Hall, it would have been completely different. It would have sounded like more classical.
Yeah.
No, but he really, it's like, it's a very sophisticated sound, but he plays like pretty hard. Like
he wanted to swing hard. You know, his idea of time and his sense of swing was way different than Jim's.
Yeah.
And they're both beautiful, you know. Yeah. It's just a different, you know, but we're playing jazz. Everybody should have their own personality as part of what they're doing.
I was wondering, you heard him play acoustically without an amp.
Right.
Did he have like a lot of volume when playing? Because there is a sense of
his guitar acoustically is not that loud. You know, so but yes, he played with a lot of force, and I have a number of his picks too.
I was going to ask you about that.
And they were the D'Andrea purple ones,
Yeah.
which I don't know what exact gauge that is.
Yeah. Yeah, but full size, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
big one.
a regular teardrop,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they're the purple ones, and that's I mean the purple signal I think is 1.6 or 1.4, and he liked to take a nail file out and score them in the middle,
Okay.
scratch them up real bad so that they were easier to hold.
To have it like a grip.
Yeah, like friction, so
okay.
so it wasn't like because when you get them, they're smooth. They're all like smooth, and so he would like gouge them a little bit and then scratch them so that when he held onto it, it was easier to kind of keep in. It didn't slide around.
Yeah.
It was easier for him to grip, which means he was probably grabbing really tight.
Yeah.
I think the key to a good guitar grip is not too tight.
Yeah.
It's like if you just got a firm, solid control, it's not going nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you start pressing harder, and then it starts moving around.
Yeah.
There's that certain level of just, firmness, control, but still, like my muscles aren't changing color or anything. You know what I mean? There's no force in it.
Yeah.
It sits there all the time for me. But I think, and if I hold it tighter, it moves around.
Yeah.
Especially if you start sweating. So I think Barney held it really tight, and that was his reason for scoring those things. I have, like I say, I have a bag full of picks that came with the guitar.
Yeah.
And there were a few in there that were his players, like they were all scratched up. He had, the rest of them were all just waiting to get defiled.
But I think there is something really interesting is like Barney Kessel, maybe more than anyone else, proved to the world that the guitar could replace the piano and I think that he also played in a way that was not piano-like. Like it never felt like an alternate version of the piano. It was a thing in itself, and I think that's rawness in the best of ways. It's something very guitar-like that sometimes as we guitar players we try to move away from that, like we are shy of that, and that's so much of the personality.
One of the things I'm happiest about getting this guitar is that I've been able to continue to express that to the world, which I think is very important. I mean, if you play in a guitar trio, you can thank Barney Kessel.
Yeah.
Because he's the one who actually really legitimized. And now some people say there were a couple recordings before of like Howard Roberts before Jim Howell, and there might be, or it was guys in New York. I don't know. Fact is those Poll Winners record made the world, aware of that. And it was before the first Poll Winners records. A couple of them were before The Bridge with Jim Hall.
Yeah.
So Barney,
way before. The Bridge was 62.
Barney, you're right, established that. He did. And that to me is like, think about it. The guitar was like a rhythm instrument before, just strumming guitar, strumming chords, or a classical thing where you played arrangements. Yeah. And here's this guy who came in and, okay, I'm going to play the melody and the chords and find ways of doing all these things and fitting in with ensembles and being the lead in the ensemble. It's like he innovated a lot of what we do. Yeah. And his name deserves to be spoken over and over and over and over again because we are standing on his shoulders. Yeah. And I have kind of like with this guitar, I've stopped playing it all the time for a couple of reasons. One is I don't want it to become my guitar. I want it to stay Barney's guitar. Yeah. Also, it's very valuable to me, and I don't want to expose it to a lot of danger. But, and I've got another guitar now that's sort of basically similar to Barney's. And I actually like it better. I mean, I pulled this out to play today, and I'm hearing it, and I'm going, boy, I like the other guitar a little better.
Yeah.
Sorry, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still love you, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm only going to play this like with Barney-related projects, which like right now. You know. But I mean, yeah. or you know, but it's amazing to be playing this.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
it's
the
like,
sound.
Yeah.
He usually kept the tone like kind of wide open, right?
Yeah, it kept bright. Yeah, he liked it bright, and that's another reason why he liked this pickup.
Yeah.
And another reason why I have taken to liking this pickup is because, like, when I got Barney's guitar, I started finding myself playing that note in an ensemble. Well, with my L5 with humbuckers, if I play at a low E, the bass player is going to get, like, knocked out.
Yeah.
You know, the guy's going to hate me.
Yeah.
And really hit it, you know. Something like that, which I would love to do, which I hear. I can't do that with my L5 with a humbucker because it's just going to go blue. That E note is just going to blow everybody out. And so, and I didn't even realize it, Pedro, but I'd become kind of like I'd become like a ukulele player.
Yeah.
Mostly I play. You know, I was only playing the top 4 strings, and I'd occasionally play the low strings if a line went that far down or if I wanted to play a bass note, right? Yeah. But as soon as I got Barney's guitar, this part of the guitar,
it opens up, right?
Became a melodic part of the guitar. And so I was like, wow, I love this. You know, I love to be able to play shit like that with a bass player, and they don't mind at all. You know? And I'm down on the low 2 strings now. I didn't play anything above the A string.
Yeah.
And so for me to have, all of a sudden, I was like melodically given and harmonically given a third of my instrument back to me.
Yeah.
And that was when I realized why Barney liked this pickup so much. And I really haven't wanted to go back since, you know. I mean, clarity, you know. Even when I'm playing solo, which of course I like humbuckers when I'm playing solo because I like to have a lot of bass response, but I don't need it. Yeah. It's really more like, sometimes it's more like an electric bass than a guitar.
Yeah.
That's another thing, you know, when you listen to Barney or even me when I'm playing this guitar, you're not hearing flat wound strings, are you?
No, not at all. Yeah,
they are.
And 14's flat ones. Yeah.
Right. So, you know, and of course when you listen to Wes, because he played so hard with his thumb, it's hard to tell that they're flat wounds, but they were.
Yeah. Yeah, but he didn't play so low, and when he played low, it was with octaves, which is
right. But no, occasionally his lines would go down there.
Yeah.
Bop! Yeah, but he played so hard with his thumb. But that's clear as hell.
Yeah, I cannot do that with this guitar.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, that's what I want to play now. I like these pickups.
Yeah. And what strings you're using? Flat ones 14s, but what brand are you using?
I'm using the flat wound set that has 13s, and I switched the top to 14s.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they make sets that have 14, do they?
I'm starting to use like a Tomastic George Benson set that has a 14. Tomastics are, as you sure know, they are kind of weird. I played like all my life. But they are like they're much like lighter than other
Oh, okay.
stations.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is just goes down to 56, I think, or 58,
Yeah.
at the bottom. And when you get the set, it's got 13 and 17, and I just use 14 and 18.
Yeah. And what
And
brand is that?
D'Addario.
The Chromes.
They're D'Addario Chromes.
Yeah. And Barney played in that recording probably the Gibson amp, right? That you had.
So I have Barney's amp, which was also on the, which I'm not using today. I'm sorry for that. But yeah, that's a cool amp. I love that sounding.
Yeah.
It's just not very loud and distorts real easy.
Yeah.
So I don't play it much on gigs.
Yeah. There are a lot of things that explain why he was called so much as a sideman. Like this, like really playing the song, really having like the proper amount of ego in each moment. Like I think he was someone like could like get really big when it was needed and get like really small when the song needed it. But also he played really in tune. Like he always sounds in tune. Like there's something about his touch that is very precise, and not a lot of guitar players, especially those hard hitters from those years, that really sound.
I think a lot of it has to do with the sound. It's brighter, so it's easier to hear that it's in tune.
Yeah. That's
like
a good point.
I once saw, I'm pretty sure it was Jim Hall.
Yeah.
And he played something and it was out of tune, right? And it was in the middle of a song. And he didn't want to stop and tune up, of course, at that moment. And he just took the tone knob and rolled it way off. It was like he was tuning the guitar, kind of, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've actually seen other people do it too. Yeah. I probably have myself. You just can't stop and tune everything. You're in the middle of shit. So you just darken it. Gets a little muddier. You don't hear the fundamental as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The chords, the notes ring together more harmoniously with a muffled sound.
Yeah. Barney really had like a beautiful tuning in all his recordings. I'm like in this, like playing a minor second on your first chord and really having that be like a nice, a pleasant feeling.
Yeah.
But also not. It's not only the tuning, like really not pulling a string down.
Or quite the contrary, pulling the string down if you need to.
Yeah.
But you can hear in this guitar how clear that is.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Yeah.
I've got a lot of options here with all these notes, with my hand.
Yeah.
So.
And he didn't use hybrid picking, which you use a lot. He used like all pick, right?
I never saw him do that. No.
Yeah. So
he's kept a lot, Yeah. Yeah, I do.
So yeah. So when he plays like that's all pick, right?
Right, exactly. Exactly. There's no.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, none of. Yeah, you're right. That's beautiful. Yeah. I love that. I love that as much as.
Yeah.
Just. It makes me want to go. No.
Yeah. Yeah, and the beginning it's about texture. It's like a smoke, like.
Right. Exactly.
And then there is a melody that kind of hooks you, but But that was what I was referring about, the size of the ego, that he plays a very nice melody, but he doesn't take the spotlight.
Right.
It's a beautiful melody, but very simple. Like
God, it is. And that's small again, right?
yeah. That's
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful.
Everybody should just enjoy this and make it their own, and go down the path with the rest of us. We're one happy family here. I'm glad to share this with you. I really appreciate it. And just to hang out with you has been great. And thank you for documenting this so more people can enjoy it. Thank you for doing all you're doing to preserve this, because this is important musical stuff that people need to know about.
Bruce, thanks a bunch. If I can help in any way, please let me know.
That's beautiful.
And your sense of not only the way you play, but your sense of community and what you do for this is such an important thing, and it's not the most common thing, and that is I carry that very close to my heart, and I really thank you for that, Bruce.
I appreciate you saying that, and again, I feel the same way about you. So thank you for all you do.
So Bruce, and I will call you for a proper lesson soon.
Oh, whatever. Okay, that sounds great. Okay.
Yeah. Bruce, thanks a bunch.
Keep
Thanks
swinging.
Have a great day, Bruce. Bye-bye.